This group of people are all coming from one course, which is the Digital Humanities Seminar at the undergraduate level, paired with the Digital Humanities Foundations course that we have for our graduate students, taught by Matt Handelman, who you saw earlier today, and then he has a few of his students who are presenting with him today about the project that they're working on throughout this course. So I'll just leave it to them to go ahead.
Okay. And we've got our own time here, so I'm going to have to be very speedy here. So this is AL 340A91, and we're working on a project that we call the Poor Sinners Pamphlets after the material that we're working on. I just want to give us, we'll each be talking about an aspect of the project. I'll give you a brief overview, which includes some of the pedagogical goals that I have for this course. So what I really wanted to accomplish with this course, in that it's a seminar and that it is both undergraduate and graduate, is that we merge both a theory and a practice of the digital humanities, that we don't just learn how to use some tools, but we actually have some methods and ideas to think through how we're using those tools. And to do that, we've basically been working on a large collaborative project. So some of the theories that we've been working through are not sort of ones that you necessarily traditionally associate with the digital humanities, but we've been going back to some of the classics, or whatever. Theories of the archive, theories of data and classification, visualization, and mapping. And one of the best opportunities is actually the ability to use a local resource, which is the Criminology Collection here at MSU. And this Criminology Collection actually was bought in 1965 for the newly founded criminology school, but they weren't that interested in it, it seems. So the Germanists have discovered it. And thank you. It basically contains 1,428 documents that span from 1410 to 1837, including 50 manuscripts. And what we've done in this class is we've selected, digitized, uploaded, and will hopefully within the next couple of weeks have analyzed 100 of the German plus one French execution pamphlets. And so some of the students that I have here, introduce yourself when you guys start. We'll be talking about different aspects of the class that we've been working on. If you'd like to, you can check out our site down at this bit.ly link, and we can return to that maybe during the questions section.
All right. Hello, I am Ian. I'm an undergrad student about to wrap up my term here at MSU, and I'm going to tell you about how we set up our project and some of the materials that we're working from. So the main information that we're pulling from is a data set from the MSU catalog. It's in a MARC format, which is terrifyingly complex and annoying. So we've got the 1,428 entries, and we've categorized them into 20 separate categories for the pamphlets. Using OpenRefine, we took this nasty looking sheet and made it look nice and manageable. From there, we will take the data, analyze it, mess with it, but that took a long time in its own. We are also taking pictures of the 100 documents using certain methods that are across the board agreed upon for the archiving process, just to make sure that these documents are represented in a way that's true to their shape currently. So this is what it looks like when we're taking the images of them, and we had a whole team working with that, making sure to have the color checker to make sure that the documents are photographed correctly. And that's all I got.
So after Ian's good, quick little background of what we had to do, I'd like to discuss the analysis. My name is Chad Bowsley. I'm a second-year master's student here in the German Studies Department. So as a Germanist, these pamphlets have been very interesting to look at. So as it has been said, we have a rather large data set. And so one of the things that we really wanted to do with it was be able to ask questions about it and figure things out. So one way we did that was by trying to use raw and do some data visualizations. Now the nice thing about raw is there are a lot of different possibilities for data visualizations. There's a lot of different grids and graphs and charts that you can use. But one of the big problems that we had is with our data set, we have a lot of information in the metadata, but we don't have a lot of numbers. And it seems like raw really likes to have numbers used in it. It's been kind of difficult to try to use raw and make the data visualizations intelligible. And I wanted to use this example for you guys to just kind of highlight that this is a decent data visualization that we have, but you can see here over on the right that some of the words are kind of smushed together, and that has been happening with us for a lot of the visualizations we've tried to do with this, so it's been very difficult. So if you guys have any tips or suggestions during the discussion, that would be great. Another thing that we've been doing as well is been mapping the data, and so this is a map used on CartoDB, and it shows the publications or the number of the pamphlets and where they were published. But you always have to be a little bit careful with data mapping and how the maps can distort or change the way things are. So just to do that, I want to give you guys a closer look. And so here is just what it looks like in terms of the maps or the publications of these in Germany.
Oh, both. Oh, okay.
It's a two-mic day.
Oh, thank you. So good afternoon. My name is Joyce Farley. I'm a second-year PhD student in African American and African Studies. And so I'm focusing on the global connections of our research and where they take us. Primarily, we're in the classroom, but we don't go very far. So the global connections. Our average broadsheet is about 3 pages, back and front, give or take roughly. And our broadsheets contain information about the crime, the individual who committed the crime, and sometimes the gang of individuals who commit their crime, because usually it's a partner or a group of individuals. The specifics about their punishment. So usually it's a beheading, the wheel, the whipping post. I mean, it's very gruesome, and some of these crimes are actually very heinous. And some of these broadsheets actually include poems or moral songs that follow some of these broadsheets, which is actually very interesting. So after you read about the heinous nature of some of these crimes and the specifics about their punishments, you sort of get, I guess, a spirit boost, which I think may help with the selling of these broadsheets. And so in all, out of our 101 pamphlets, most of these were sold at executions between 1714 and 1830, and these were collected as souvenirs, which I think if you're interested in that, this may definitely be the way to go. They also include more specifics about physical aspects and time restrictions that we were interested in. That's why we're so specific about the 101 pamphlets that we selected, and we'll talk about this as to whether we're an archive or not. Some will dispute that we're not. We're more of a collection, and we'll go into that later. And more so about our crimes, so we're just going to skip about that. Specifically, women were actually in these broadsheets, specific more so about infanticide and crimes against the elderly, and those are more domestic disputes. Men, you do the math. So crime and punishment, we'll look at that globally, more so the Salem witch trials and the 20th century Nadir, which follows Reconstruction. And then so the bigger question, are we an archive? How has the material been selected? Is this more of a collection? Is the work that we're doing challenging the idea of an archive? And lastly, the question that we're asking is what has been changed or needs to be changed as we're pulling more of our information and making it accessible online.
Okay. And just to wrap things up, I'd like to also thank actually some of the people that are currently here. Kristen's been very helpful in putting this together, as well as Bobby and Brandon. And the MSU Libraries has also been extraordinarily helpful in putting this together and giving us access to these wonderful documents and letting us as a group and as individuals come in and photograph them and use them. So thanks to everybody, and thanks for listening.